Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out the kill count for the 2024 movie Abigail from Dead Meat. Let's hop in and see just how many people were drained onto the count. Yeah, drained. There you go.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James H. Janice, and today we're looking at Abigail, released in 2024. Abigail was made by Radio Silence, you know them by now, and stars Melissa Barrera, who led both their Scream sequels as Sam Carpenter. Similar to From Dusk Till Dawn, it begins as a crime caper before switching to a monster movie halfway through. The twist was heavily advertised, though to be fair, I'm not sure how they would have marketed the movie otherwise. Still, if you want to go in completely blind, this is your one and only warning. Okay, you good? Good. Abigail began as a modern update of Dracula's daughter, but eventually became its own story entirely. Its only leftover tie to the 1936 film is who Abigail ends up being. After making their imprint on the Scream franchise, this movie sees Radio Silence return to Ready or Not mode. And it's not just because of the mansion setting or all the buckets of blood splatter. It's because it's got an incredible ensemble cast playing hilarious characters. They're not good people. I mean, they kidnap a little girl, but it's hard not to like them thanks to their chemistry and banter. And as if the cast of Criminals wasn't good enough, Abigail is an amazing child/monster performance by Alicia Ware. The story is a little jumbled and feels like it falls in on itself during the third act, but any excuse to watch these performers perform is fine with me. It's too fun for me to really care. Of course, as per usual with Radio Silence movies, I won't pretend that I'm unbiased. They're my friends. I like and respect them as people so much that it might affect how I judge their movies. But also, it's not like my opinion is a rare one. Their films are crowd pleasers, going by pretty much every metric available, and Abigail is no different. How many bodies will grace... Oh, whatever could that be? A sponsor, maybe? Let's go.
Let's see. Will it be Manscaped, Squarespace, MeUndies, or something else I'm not thinking of? Place your bets. Place your bets.
Find out
before we get to the cut.
We've hacked your YouTube channel. What? If you want your videos to stay up, use the razor in this box to shave your head. Then put the hair in the box and leave it outside? Is this some kind of kink thing? P.S. This isn't a kink thing. Well, guess I have no choice.
Manscaped?
Oh, come on, a generic razor? You couldn't have sprung for something premium like the Dome Shaver Pro from today's sponsor, Manscaped? How many bodies will grace this ballet of blood? Let's find out and get to the kills.
Alright, that one wasn't too bad, James. Good job.
It begins with dancing shoes as our titular tiny dancer rehearses her routine. Yep, there she is. It's Abigail. She's dancing to Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake.
Abigail.
It's a good thing that song kicks so much ass, because you're going to hear it a lot throughout the film. It's also fitting on a meta level. Swan Lake was used in the opening credits of the original 1931 Dracula. Elsewhere in the city, a bunch of crooks assemble. A gun-toting gal with a lollipop gets picked up by a couple of shady customers.
The temperature okay back there? Is it too cold or too hot? Or...
Temperature's fine.
Hey, shady or not, dude still wants 5 stars. The black-clad bandits use a tracker on Abby's car to beat her back to her fancy-ass house. The criminals don't know each other or who their target is. All they know is it's a kidnapping job.
No one said it was a kid.
Oh, no one said that? It's a fucking kid.
I mean, you're kidnapping someone. Kid is literally part of the word. Abigail gets home and cozies up in bed, only to get ambushed by the kidnappers. She puts up quite a fight, stabbing one of them with a pencil before they calm her down with a Swan Lake sedative. Then they bag the ballerina and duffel abduct her away. They're almost caught when an alarm system goes off, but they make it to their getaway van and successfully escape. They take their blindfolded bounty to a Radio Silence rendezvous, a big old mansion, specifically an overgrown neo-tutor way outside the city called Wilhelm Manor. It's a scream. They file inside past the...
That house almost looked like the one that was used in Orphan. Of course, I know it's not. It just weirdly resembles it.
The guy who hired them,
Moving on.
Lambert, played by Giancarlo Esposito in a very Giancarlo Esposito role. He's the mysterious middleman between the crew and their client, and his job is to keep things mysterious for everyone. They're not allowed to talk about their personal lives, and he collects their phones like they're seeing Dave Chappelle do stand-up. They're also not allowed to reveal their names.
Hey, no names. You know the fucking rules.
Of course, it's hard to talk about a movie if the characters don't have names, so thankfully Lambert gives them code names based on members of the Rat Pack.
Frank, Dean, Sammy, Peter, Joey, and...
Damn, this man got his finger on the pulse of pop culture.
And you're Don fucking Rickles. You happy? Not really.
As Rickles intimated,
Not
the
really.
Rat Pack's a pretty dated reference.
How come you called us rats?
So if you didn't know, they were a group of singers who also made Vegas-centered films like the original Ocean's 11. Lambert leaves the
that's
pack as they
cool.
secure the house and their captive. To minimize risk and exposure, only Candy Girl Joey's allowed to interact with Abigail. Joey's a nurse and is codenamed after Joey Bishop, a comedian and talk show host. The group's leader,
Classic.
Frank, is named after Frank Sinatra, leader of the Rat Pack after Humphrey Bogart died. The group's muscle is
Awesome.
Peter, named after Peter Lawford, who married into the Kennedy family. Getaway driver
Really
Dean is
now?
named after Dean Martin, the king of cool and singer of That's Amore. Computer hacker
Ooh,
Sammy is
gotta love
named
that.
after Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. Show Business, while the group's no-nonsense military marksman is named after Don Rickles, insult comic and honorary member of the Rat Pack. Their job is to defend the house
Ah,
for
the
24
roast
hours
master.
while ransom is collected from Abigail's unknown wealthy father. At least this dope mansion makes for a chill hang. It's even got a fully stocked open bar, and they say crime doesn't pay. Despite Lambert's ban on personal information, the boozing quickly
kind
gets
of.
them swapping backstories.
Crisp $100 bill. You can tell me one true thing about me.
Turns out Joey has a near superhuman ability to read people, so she turns exposition into a parlor trick. She calls out Frank as an ex-detective, having noticed his use of police hand signals. She notes that Peter is a native of Quebec, that Rickles was in the Marines, and that Sammy's a rich girl who's in it for the thrill. As for Dean, he's just vibing.
You've got loose wiring. Probably a sociopath.
As Joey
Loose
leaves to check on her
wiring?
hostage, Frank calls her out as a
What?
former drug addict, hence her penchant for snacking on sweets. These two have been butting heads from the get-go, since during the kidnapping, he was about to punch that kid. Joey don't approve of that violence, and is nice to Abigail, even giving her a break from her kitty shackles.
Oh,
She has a
no.
soft spot for kids, probably because she has one herself, and a strange son who we briefly saw on her phone before it was confiscated. She lets her guard down enough to mention him to Abby.
He's
Nope.
just
You
a
fucked
normal
up.
kid.
Just an innocent kid. Abigail says her father won't pay the ransom because he doesn't care about her. She also implies he's not a man to mess around with.
I'm sorry about what's gonna happen to you.
Oh, thanks? Joey gets spooked and asks Frank who the father is, but he doesn't know, so he heads to the girl's room and politely asks her himself.
Who the fuck is your father?
And
Dude, you didn't. Never mind. They're all gonna die
since he
anyway.
asks so nicely, she lets him know.
Christophe Lazar?
The father reveal freaks Frank out like he were on the Maury show. In fact, it's enough to make
Christophe
him, the consummate professional, try to quit the job right then and there. A bunch of the crew has heard of Christophe Lazar. He's a kind of Kaiser Soze-like crime boss, so ruthless and mysterious, some consider him an urban legend. But he's really for reals, and the group nearly calls it quits. It's only the promised payout of $7 million each that keeps them inside for now. They split up
that's
to
a lot.
protect the house from outside threats. Joey finds an opulent library with a malfunctioning window and a haunted mansion statue. Yo, is that Jamiroquai? She also checks on Rickles, who's been holed up in a sniper's nest. Actor Will Catlett did a lot of firearm training to play his character.
Because military guys, they can tell whether you know how to handle the gun or not. And that's important to me to make them look good.
Rickles sees Joey as the only other proper professional, so a trust develops between them. Trust and lust, am I right? Ugh.
And keep the grab ass to a minimum.
Aw, Lambert never lets us have any fun. Dean's
Yep,
been
you
trying
heard
to
him.
grab some
Minimum.
ass of his own.
So, you got a boyfriend or something like that?
Sammy would rather pass the time watching cartoons, especially after
Oh,
Dean
that's
tries
fun.
to jump scare her out of her pants. What were you hoping for there,
Jeez,
dude?
dude.
A prank gone wrong, gone sexual? Because it didn't work.
Wait. Stupid motherfucker! God!
I didn't mean to scare you.
I don't give a shit!
Dean goes looking for a
Just get
midnight
out.
snack and gets a karmic jump scare in the form of a rat. An off-screen presence crunches on the rodent before getting mean with
Oh,
Dean as a
no.
main course. His screams for help are heard by Sammy, who comes to investigate. She discovers his headless body propped up at the kitchen table. Death by Dean-capitation. Dean was played by the late Angus Cloud, best known
Okay.
for his starring
Okay,
turn
that's
in
good.
Euphoria.
That's
Cloud
funny.
sadly died weeks after wrapping his role, right after the SAG-AFTRA strike suspended production.
Oh,
that means they had to
what?
come back and finish making the movie after his death. Everyone said they wanted to make sure they did it well and do him justice. Cloud had finished filming
Damn.
all his material, so there was no need for
Man, I'm sorry to hear about his death.
digital recreations or sound-alike ADR. Like all the other cast members, he brings a unique energy to the ensemble. We've seen this character type before, but he has an authenticity that elevates Dean and keeps him hilarious.
Let me get a piece of that
Pretty
candy.
good.
It's your own.
Fuck you too.
I would have loved to see him in more projects. Rest in peace. The commotion
Rest in
gathers
peace,
the group
brother.
in the kitchen, where Joey surmises who's behind this gory scene. A guy named Valdez, Christophe Lazar's legendary enforcer. His bloodthirsty reputation is widely known. Rickles recounts a story about some of Lazar's men who were going to testify against him. Even though they were guarded on the top floor of a building, Valdez managed to kill them all.
All their bodies are ripped
How?
apart. Limbs, and organs missing.
Oh, right. Duh. Dracula.
Decapitations. That's his signature.
Oh great, YouTube's gonna love that. I'm not a fan of introducing a second unseen character. These characters talking about Lazar and now Valdez makes things a little confusing, especially when the accusations start flying, like when Abigail tells Joey that Frank admitted to being Valdez. The confusion is enough to make
Wait,
Rickles finally want
what?
to leave, but the front door is blocked by an iron gate so sturdy, not even Peter can break it down.
It's locked.
That's gotta hurt.
Thanks, Peter.
Their meddling sends the house into full lockdown mode, barring all the doors and windows and leaving them trapped like rats
That's
in a
kind of
pack.
interesting.
Oh, now I get it. I get the name now. I get it. The Rat Pack, right?
Wilhelm Manor was played by the Guinness Manor, aka Glen Maroon in Dublin, Ireland. It was built in 1904 by
that's kinda
socialite
cool.
Arthur Ernest Guinness of the Guinness Beer Dynasty. He actually
that's
built two
really
houses,
cool.
so one could just be used for parties. Man, that fucking rules. Radio Silence found the house, then tailored the story to the location. The same thing they did for their VHS segment, 103198. The place was abandoned when they arrived, so production dressed it with everything you see. The only locations not filmed at the manor were the library and kitchen cellar, which were sets built by production designer Susie Cullen. Joey and Rickles
You
have
did
a
a
plan
damn
to
good
take
job.
the others out and escape on their own. But Rickles only makes it like 5 steps before he's stopped dead in his tracks. When Joey checks on him, she sees him missing a whole lot of face and
Oh,
neck
God.
flesh. Yeah, you kinda need those parts to live, man. Joey heads downstairs and holds the rest of the team at gunpoint, but Frank manages to turn it into a standoff. He don't take kindly to Abby's accusations, so he sends Peter upstairs to cap their kidnappee.
It's my job, Joey.
Peter's like a lovable big dumb dog, and he develops a cute friendship with Sammy.
You're just missing, so you have to finish the whole bottle, aren't you?
I don't know why you would say that.
Oh, that's bad.
Come
I
on.
like you. You're scary
Joey.
though.
But he is not a moral man. Earlier, after Abigail accidentally saw Frank unmasked, he was quick to jump to termination.
Now we have to kill her.
Actor Kevin Durand plays the multifaceted character perfectly and says the big
I mean,
old
he did it
prince so
himself.
much
He
to
messed
drown
up.
out his guilt. Durand's horror credits include Legion and Tragedy Girls, but I'll always think of him as that sick son of a bitch Martin Keamy in Lost. Alex didn't deserve that! Joey tries to
Oh,
protect
damn.
Abby by pummeling Peter, but Abigail finally shows her true colors. Those colors are blood red.
Oh,
It's revealed that
And here we
Valdez
go.
isn't some hitman. It's Abigail herself. Frank shoots her before she can do any damage, but not even a headshot can keep her down. They realize their new reality.
We kidnapped a fucking vampire. A ballerina vampire.
It's a twist that was never a twist thanks to the marketing, which
Yeah.
may have impacted your enjoyment of the film. I'm honestly fine going
Hey,
like a
pretty
full
obvious.
half hour without the characters knowing, but 50 minutes feels like a lot when you're sitting there waiting for the other point shoe to drop. Frank wants to fight back, so they gather their collective knowledge about vampire lore. He sends Peter to make wooden stakes out of pool cues and Sammy to get garlic from the kitchen.
I got him.
don't forget Silver.
those are fucking onions.
Incredible line reading from Dan Stevens, who kicks ass in The Guest and double dipped in horror this year thanks to Cuckoo. Radio Silence wanted a sort of Breakfast Club ensemble of characters.
There's like the hacker and the driver and the muscle and the...
I'm sorry, but that's actually hilarious. The whole. Oh, alright, I got the garlic. Those are fucking onions, you idiot.
I don't know what Frank
Hilarious.
is, he's just an asshole.
All the actors were given room to improvise, which resulted in a lot of funny outtakes on the Blu-ray.
Place is fire. And it's got a fire.
Cloud came up with the scene
It's
where
got
he
a
scares
file.
Sammy with a mask, while Stevens had a whole list of names for a scene where he calls Abigail Angelina Ballerina. It's hilarious seeing them do more than a dozen takes, since he keeps cracking up Barrera by using new names.
So I walk in there to see little Nelly Nutcracker memorizing my fucking face. To see baby Black Swan memorizing my fucking face. So I walk in there to see Penelope Pirouette memorizing my fucking
So many
The actors also had
alliterations.
input on their characters' backstories and appearances. Peter was scripted to be from Louisiana, but Kevin Durand changed it to Quebec so he could use his real accent from northern Canada. Barrera helped pick her leather outfit and
Oh,
shaggy hair
God.
that I absolutely loved. Catherine Newton took inspiration from Gwen Stefani, suggesting a skirt and tattoos like the fuck mom one on her hands.
Love this character. It's just kind of who I want to be.
Stevens also
Not
cultivated his look with inspiration from I Think You Should Leave.
The slick back hair. Yeah. I mean, we wanted him... The reference was we wanted him to be a real piece of shit.
Hey man, people can change. As always, Radio Silence ran a loving set where all their cast and crew had
So
nothing but positive
awesome.
things to say about each other.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in a cast with such different types who all seem to get along so well.
Joey sits this fight out, thinking they're underestimating their fun-sized foe. The other three follow the sound
Nah,
of
it's a
Swan Lake
vampire.
upstairs, where Abigail's having a partner dance with Dean's headless body. It's enough to give them pause, as it should. This shit is absolutely horrifying. The brawl begins, but Abigail has an
First rule of vampires You never underestimate them.
Thallium immunity, so she turns Sammy's ribcage into a speed bag. Peter's
Oh,
crucifix becomes a weapon for Stabby Abby, who punctures his chest damn near 30 times by my count. God damn! Frank takes a
Wow.
staking through the
That's
leg
kinda hot.
with style, and that finally sends everyone running or limping away. Abigail just lets them go, because she likes to play with her food. The group rejoins Joey to lick their wounds. While their vampire lore proved useless, they do have one thing they know works, a needle full of night-night juice. They split up to search the manor, and a jump-scaring
sure
bat
about
causes
that?
Sammy to trip and fall into a swimming pool. Unfortunately for both of us, it is chock full of rotting corpses.
How many
Oh.
bodies we talking? Like 2, 3?
Yeah, Sammy, please give us a number.
Dozens.
Not a number. Guess I'll go ahead and make Tim do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Tim counted 41 soggy dead bodies in this people suit.
Oh,
Determined from the shots in the
Lord.
film and some behind the scenes footage too. But don't even think about asking us the gender breakdown here. Sammy is played by modern horror icon Catherine Newton, who we've seen on this show in Freaky and Lisa Frankenstein. While she had a
Hey.
great time in the much smaller practice pool,
This is so fun!
the same could not be said when they got to the real deal.
I'm gonna take you to the worst place in the world.
Newton had to be submerged in a tank within a tank filled with a whole bunch
Thank
of dead
goodness.
bodies. It took them a while to film, and by the end of it, she was nearly as traumatized as her character.
I'm having PTSD right now.
While dealing with a splinter,
Ugh.
Peter is tracked down by Abigail. She Megans her way after him, and Kool-Aid Man's through a locked door. Chelsea
Oh,
is
yeah.
good at running around doing dance moves
Wait,
is
was that
highly
Hulk Hogan?
accurate to young girls who do ballet. The chase is cut short by a poorly timed entrance from Frank.
Oh, shit.
That's gotta hurt. Joey and Sammy arrive to help as Abigail gives Frank a nudge down the stairs. During the ensuing fight, their needle gets knocked behind a locked gate, and Abby bites Sammy in the
done
arm.
good.
Abigail goes full swan and starts to fly away with Frank until she's stopped by Peter bodying the ballerina. The big boy
Body
manages to
slam.
pin her down long enough for Joey to stick her with the nappy time needle. Okay, little lady,
Ooh.
calm down.
I'll rip your fucking heads off and gorge myself on your blood.
Hey, that is not
Oh,
calm down.
jeez.
Irish actress Alicia Weir had to research vampire lore since her only exposure to them was the Vampire Diaries. Seriously, that was it.
Alicia doesn't know what
too bad,
Twilight
at
is.
least.
To transform her appearance, she wore contact lenses and dentures, which she worried would interfere with her American accent. But it didn't. She pulled it off, no problem.
Flawless American accent. And only afterwards did I discover that she's from Dublin and that she's never had a dialing coach.
Oh, she's
she
from
just
Dublin?
watches the tally.
Although Abigail's unconscious,
That's nice.
Sammy's worried about her bite.
I feel like I got bit by a fucking vampire.
What the fuck is gonna happen to me?
They lock Abby in the elevator and ask about the side effects, but the smarmy marmy hits them with an I don't know, no matter how much they
Well, I mean, in most laws, if a vampire bites a human, well, that human taunts.
compliment her performance.
You're really good at pretending to be a little girl.
Thank you. I've had a few centuries of experience.
Abigail reveals she's the brains behind this entire evening, and that Lambert actually works for her. She knows all their real names and backstories, and reveals them in another exposition dump. It doesn't work nearly as well as the earlier one from Joey. It just feels like too much info too fast. I will note that Frank's real name is revealed to be Adam Barrett, a nod to filmmakers Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett, who
Oh,
Radio
that's
Silence
cool.
worked with in the original VHS.
Oh,
Abby
that's
says
really
each
cool.
of them crossed her father in some way, so she's lured them here to kill them as revenge. As the Pool of Death shows, it's far from the first time she's played this game. She keeps doing it to try to get her dad's attention, but it hasn't worked yet. Man, even vampires have daddy issues. Abigail
Ouch.
offers to spare the first person who frees her, but when Peter tries to take the deal, Joey stops him with a flesh wound. She and Sammy leave to treat it, so Frank is
Damn.
left alone with Abby, who shows how much she's playing with them by promptly breaking free. She's ready to sink her fangs into Frank, but Joey returns and gets to bashing out a window. The sun has finally started rising,
And
it blows up
sunlight.
Abby's hand with a blood splatter. But that little nub has grown back fast.
Ooh,
Joey and
that's
Frank
gotta
get the
hurt.
fuck out of Dodge. The whole group heads to the library, where
stink.
that open window is letting in a beam of sweet, sweet sunlight. Sammy's even able to stick her hand in it, which means she's still human. You know, for now. Trapped within this light, Joey talks about her estranged kid.
Yep.
That's why I took this job. With that money, I can
I think the only way of curing vampirism is just to kill the vampire that taunted you.
start over, you know? A reset.
It sparks an idea in Sammy, who figures the house must have a control room she can use to reset the lockdown. They split up once again to search the house. Frank's wary of Sammy's bite, so Peter volunteers to pair up with her. I love the relationship between these two.
You're my friend.
While they check out the manor's
least they
greenhouse,
are
Abigail
friends.
puts on a record that Sammy starts hearing in her head. Get out of my head, man! While that bite didn't turn her into a vampire, it has left Sammy open to Abigail's influence.
You're mine.
She parsecs into Sammy's body and uses
crap.
it to kill Peter, tearing out a chunk of his neck and sucking him down like a Capri Sun. Sad to see him go.
Oh, that's
Abigail
gotta
uses her radio to lure Joey
Like,
and Frank to her
terribly
location.
bad.
While she's waiting, we get a kick-ass dance sequence set to Blood and Tears by Danzig as Abigail pirouettes in Sammy's body. This puppet dance was
Smoking
something
in the
production
sunlight.
came up with last minute and thought they would only use a little bit of. However, Newton was so experienced, having been a Miami City ballet dancer, they wound up using the entire act in one of the film's standout scenes.
The movie pauses for a moment.
Alicia Weir was no stranger to dancing either. She previously starred in the movie adaptation of Matilda the Musical. But unlike Newton,
that's
Weir
nice.
had never done ballet before and had to endure 8 weeks of training with
saw Matilda.
choreographer Belinda Murphy.
I'd never gone on point, so for the opening scene, I had 2 to 3 months of rehearsals.
She was also excited about the movie's stunts and fight scenes.
When I heard there was loads of stunts, I was so determined to try and do all the ones that I could do myself.
And she did, putting on a harness and doing a whole lot of wire work. Frank
Always
and
gotta
Joey
be fun
find
to do
Sammy crying
stunts.
crocodile tears over Peter's body.
He's dead. She got him. Oh no.
We can
She tries
get
to
it.
attack them,
Come on
chasing
now.
them all the way back to the library. Before she can pounce, Joey uses a platter to reflect some sun back at her, splattering Sammy bits all over the place. The
Saw
blood
it, Sammy.
explosion has become a radio silence staple, probably because it brings the boys so much joy.
The minute the explosion's over, the whole crew just breaks into cheer. It's so fun, and there's blood dripping everywhere, and people are messy. But that's the exciting part.
They're huge fans of practical effects and blood, and thinks it helps their actors if they have to physically carry the violence that's been done to them.
Matt and Tyler love blood.
They used big old blood cannons
Blood,
to
blood,
create their
blood.
crimson explosions, and reportedly used 30,000 liters of blood in the movie, with 18,000 used in the pool scene alone. They wound up using all the blood.
That stuff that looks like it was in the blood, is that all like some kind of mixture of tomato paste or strawberry jam?
Available in Ireland, and had to import more from the UK. Jeez, guys. One of the bookcases opens up, revealing a secret passageway that leads to a control room. There, Frank and Joey find a fangified Lambert. He's been under Abigail's control for the past 2 years, but he's tired of it and wants to be free. After restraining Joey, Lambert offers Frank a deal. If he helps him kill Lazar, they can be co-owners of this whole criminal empire. The only catch, he'll have to become a vampire himself. At this point, Frank decides,
But
why not?
That's just
Better than being dinner.
Sure,
Lambert
Ken.
knocks out Joey and proceeds to chomp into Frank. He's not going to be a puppet like Sammy either. Lambert gives him the full treatment, which involves feeding him some of his own blood. Frank completes.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually true. If a vampire bites a human, that human becomes what's known as a thrall. Well, pretty much a servant of a vampire. But if that vampire then feeds that human their own blood, it turns them into a full-class vampire. Though only a low-level, simple vampire.
His
Like a level
transformation
1.
by vomiting up just like all his blood, I think. I mean, it seems like all of it. For this effect, blood was pumped through tubes going into Stevens' mouth, which then bounced off a backplate that pushed the blood back out. It was enhanced with blood elements filmed on a green screen. Other practical effects included a prosthetic arm for Abigail that looks like a little bloody push pop, and a prosthetic neck piece for Duran with meaty pieces Newton could tear out with her teeth. It reminds me of those Jurassic Park dinosaur toys with the dino damage wounds.
Oh, that's a
Lambert's
classic.
thrilled to have a new best
I remember
bud,
that.
but Frank stabs him in the back, literally, leading to another big wet explosion.
That's what set me up, you undead prick.
Abigail arrives, having predicted Lambert's betrayal. She moves to finish off Frank, but with his newfound vampire strength, he gives Abby a taste of her own medicine.
Ooh.
During the fight, Joey lifts the lockdown
Okay,
and grabs
this
her
is
phone
gonna be
and
something.
escapes as Frank finishes his ballerina buffet.
I fucking hate ballet.
Joey finds the secret passageway's been
Hey, there's no kill graphics. Abigail ain't dead.
sealed back up, so she calls her son and leaves him an emotional voicemail goodbye.
You're the one good thing I did in life. And I just needed you to hear that.
Frank finds her and unsympathetically tosses her back into the library. He's a full-on bad guy vampire now, but Joey's still prepared to fight it.
Let's have some fun.
This fight is sick. She wants to stick his heart with a wooden stick, but she can't match his
Good
strength,
luck.
and he tosses her from the second story. She's saved by a last-minute swan dive.
Ooh.
Begins an alliance of convenience.
I'm too weak to take him alone.
Abigail and Joey team up against Frank. The three of them have an all-out vampire plus one human fight.
Oh boy,
Ladies have
okay.
a strong start.
Okay.
I mean, Vaught done told us. Girls get it done. And Barrera, as proven in the Scream sequels, is a reliable action movie ass kicker.
I love the adrenaline.
But Frank is still a formidable foe, and Joey gets poked with a poker, which
Oh.
is then pulled out the other side. Ouch!
Oh.
Frank tries to turn Joey into his puppet with a bite and commands her to help him kill Abigail. But his technique's a little off, so Joey delivers a surprise attack. As Abigail joins him, she tells him that he can't just be turning people right off the bat.
It takes a long fucking time to learn how to do all the cool shit.
The ladies
Yeah, apparently only 2 years to go on to a lamp up.
gain the upper hand. And with their powers combined, they stake Frank into a red-hot bloody oblivion.
Oh,
Man, all those
messy.
books in there are probably ruined. Abigail agrees to let Joey go since they're gal pals now, but her exit's interrupted by the arrival of Abby's daddy, Christoph Lazar, who says he goes by many names,
Oh shit.
including presumably Dracula. Lazar's all too happy to gobble up Joey, but Drac's daughter intervenes on her behalf. She calls him out for being an absentee father.
She was here when you
You
were.
want.
That cutting remark gets through to him, so he lets Joey go after telling her his and Frank's favorite sketch comedy show.
I think you should leave.
Joey gets outside where the cruise van is still waiting. She pops in one last piece
Wait a minute, what happened to the sunlight? Did that thing take a whole ass day?
of candy before driving off, and the movie ends with a final tribute to Angus Cloud.
You know what? Never mind.
How many kidnappers took a swan dive into death? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Oh, no, don't open that window! No! We counted 47 kills in Abigail, with the victims consisting of 5 men, 1 woman, and 41 floaters in that pool that we are not going to bother sifting through, so...
It's fine.
Sorry about this on-point pie chart. We've only counted 47 kills once before on this show, in the original Purge. Such a small number compared to its sequels. With a runtime of 113
The
minutes,
Purge.
Abigail had a kill on average every 2.4 minutes.
Ooh,
I'll give the
not
golden
bad.
chainsaw for coolest kill to Frank. There are a few exploding vampires here, but Frank's was the biggest, bloodiest, and most well-deserved.
Oh,
Golden
yeah.
for lamest kill will go to Rickles, since I'm not even really sure what happened to him. Come on, that guy was cool.
Kill.
And that's it. Abigail was released in 2024 to positive reviews, but a disappointing box office.
I'll give it a
Next
thumbs
week,
up.
we return to the VHS franchise. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. On the next.
Well, as you said, next week we return to VHS, so there's no need to watch, the next on the kill count. So that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, so remember to support the original creator and all they do. I'll see all of you folks next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.